Angela Box is one of our most outspoken political analysts.
Filthy leftist stalkers out there, welcome back to my channel, where I always say what you were thinking. A lot of these things come back to what the Democrat Party has done to the black community.
It took an Anglo-Saxon looking woman to set everybody straight. Her blue eyes.
Hello, my name is Angela Box. Hey you guys, we're on Karen Read Verdict Watch, and it could come down any second. And I've got with me, I'm super thrilled, like beyond. M. William Phelps. If you're a true crime junkie like me, you'll totally know his face. You'll totally know his voice. His name is Matt, but his professional name is M. William Phelps, and he has a remarkable podcast called 34 Fairview Road, and it's not an FKR podcast. So if you're anti FKR, if you're confused by FKR, definitely check this podcast out. Matt, what have you heard this morning? I mean, let's just start at the beginning. Like, what the actual F is going on here?
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for saying those kind things about me. Well, I mean, I started my day this morning on Court TV before the jury even came in, talking about how today's a big day. You know, if there are no questions today, if they don't have a verdict today, then there's a lot going on in that room. But here we are, afternoon, and now there's 4 questions, I guess. And they don't look good for people who want justice. You know, but that being said, everybody could have the read of this totally off, right? The jury could be just sending out these questions in a way to confuse people. Juries do that sometimes.
You think so?
I mean, yeah. Well, no, they want answers to the questions, but they could be, you know, manipulating their questions in a way to try to send a message like they're leaning one way that they're not, you know. I can't see a smart jury, an educated jury looking at this evidence and at least not finding her guilty of 2 of the counts, you know. Second degree murders might be a stretch, but you know, the evidence is there for it. But I just, you know, it might be a stretch. But the other 2, I mean, the OUI, as it's called in Massachusetts, driving under the influence, is a lock. I mean, she admitted to that. I shouldn't have been driving. Period. End of story.
She blew a .09 at 9 a.m.
Yeah. So that's a lock, right? So if they can't agree on that, I think there's big trouble here.
What are the questions that, because I was just, you know, our friend Kate Peter, I was hoping to get a text from her earlier and just say guilty, but that has not happened yet. What are the questions that the jury has asked or surmised?
Well, one of the questions was, which I found to be absolutely hilarious, was can the videotape evidence of Karen Read's interviews, is that evidence? Well, you know, it's submitted as evidence, and all evidence has a sticker on it that says evidence on it. So that kind of question tells me a lot about this jury, you know.
Yeah.
The other question had to do with the time. Okay. Are we judging her on a DUI or OUI at 12:34 or 5 a.m.? Again, the whole case is centered around 12:30 in the morning when she was driving. Not when she was heading back out, but when she was driving. So, and then a later question came in that is just says, hold on, I don't remember the exact wording, but it says a real lot about I think where they're headed. And that new question that came is, if we find not guilty on 2 charges but can't agree on 1 charge, is it a hung jury on all 3 charges or just 1 charge? So that, to me, there, you know,
I
that
mean, that sounds like they're going to acquit her on second-degree murder and manslaughter and hang on DUI. Like, I
that's
mean,
exactly what I
I
thought.
remember when the in denial, alcoholic, vile, vicious narcissist Karen Reed said, "Oh, we're happy with this jury." I remember that. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I would just like to stipulate, if this vile, vicious, in denial, alcoholic narcissist is found not guilty, I want to remind everybody who else was also found not guilty. Lizzie Borden, also from Fall River, OJ Simpson, and Casey Anthony. So, you know, there you go.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
quite a
this,
little pantheon.
you know, I had just texted my manager earlier today after some of these questions and said it kind of feels like OJ, like, you know, not guilty, criminal, and then in the civil case, she's going to just face guilty, 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 because that's definitely gonna happen.
You think that's going to happen?
Yeah, she's going to go down for all of that, for
I
sure.
hope Hank is like, I'll work with the O'Keefes free of charge.
I mean, look, taking nothing away from him, he did a fabulous job.
Fantastic.
I mean, he presented everything very practically, which I like to see. You know, I don't like to see bombast or, you know, like Alan Jackson with, you know, just all these questions, all these, you know, speculations. There's no room for it in a courtroom, you know, but apparently there is.
Well, I like to say, never trust a man with boot polish in his hair, Robert Alisi, or a man with lady levels of Botox, Alan Jackson. And I'm new to this thing. I didn't watch the first trial. I was like, I wasn't even interested. I was like, I mean, she hit him. It's a DUI. Like, what is this?
It was the same with me when I first heard about this.
It didn't seem that interesting to me.
I had no interest in this.
I think the thing that's interesting is the way that people have behaved. And I've thought about this because there are good people on both sides of this. And I think the reason that the FKR movement is so strong is because good people can't imagine doing something that she did, which is, once she realized, per David Yannetti, that she was going to be held criminally responsible, she concocted an insane conspiracy and like destroyed people's lives. Like, normal people would never do such a thing.
You know, I agree with you on that. What I found when I started to interview everybody last summer, it was this time last year, and I went into Canton and I start talking to all these free Karen Reed people. What I began to realize was that their fight wasn't, Karen became kind of a poster child for a different fight for them. A lot of these people were upset with the town of Canton long before this happened, and were fighting the town of Canton over various things: corruption, you know, favoritism, everything you see in a small town, right? In a New England small town, maybe towns all over this country. So all of a sudden, they had a poster child now to tack to their movement of fighting Canton, and it became Free Karen Reed. So they kind of jumped on the train, and they just took this stuff to entire new levels I've never seen before. But, you know, of course, they had a mouthpiece in Karen Reed kind of directing this whole thing. And I think in the podcast, I outlined that pretty well, that, you know, it went from A to B to C to T, turtle, you know, so everything funneled through her to him. And you know,
I can tell you're like nonplussed. You're like, I don't even have any words.
Yeah, when you can't get a fair trial for a prosecution, there's big problems in this country, right? When you can't get a fair shot at justice, there's big problems going on that are deep, and that concerns me. I've seen this now in a couple of different cases. It's starting. Look at the Long Island serial killer case. The ex-wife of Rex Heuermann comes out and says, well, Suffolk County's corrupt. So he was framed. My husband was framed. So this is the new calling card for everybody.
So I haven't followed that case that much yet either, for whatever reason. I will. But so basically this FKR thing has spawned all these it's like a hydra with all the heads. So like spawn these other, it's because X is corrupt. That means the whole case is corrupt. Is that so?
Yep.
It inspired it.
Right. So it's like if one person's corrupt, the whole system's corrupt. Now,
Right.
I've seen corruption in cases all over this country. In fact, I'm working on season 5 of Paper Ghosts right now, and there's corruption in that case. But it doesn't change the evidence in the case. Some people might be corrupt. They might be taking money, but it doesn't change the evidence in this case. Alan Jackson, in his closing, called Michael Proctor a cancer. Big word he chooses, right? That scares people. And yet he doesn't call the guy to the stand to challenge him. So, it's a different form of justice right now happening, or defense, if you will.
Well, what's heartbreaking is that, there used to, until our whole obsession with, there must be, I think people are confused at what reasonable doubt is. Okay. I think they think you can't have any questions at all.
Right.
Now, personally, I don't have any
point.
questions. Yeah. I mean, like inferentially, Hank Brennan's closing, I've watched it 3 times. It was a masterclass. Inferentially, he doesn't move again after 12:38. Okay. So ergo, she hit him. He explained how a 216-pound man, a 6,000-pound car would not necessarily have a reaction on that. But yet it seems that the jurors are like, well, you can't prove it 100% that he was hit. So we're not going to take any of those inferences or circumstantial evidence. We're just going to throw everything out the window. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
There was a video that he used made by the defense that showed what happened.
Yes.
I mean, it really showed what happened. It showed the taillight explode. But again, you make a very good point, Angela, that reasonable doubt is confusing for people because you said it. They go in there thinking, well, if I have one question about this, that's it. It's reasonable doubt. But that's not how reasonable doubt works.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. You have to look at the totality of the evidence, right? What a lot of juries do, and I've interviewed lots of jurors in different murder cases. A lot of times what they do is witnesses will cancel out each other. So an expert comes in and like, well, some of that we don't. So they just toss the expert out. We don't count that. Okay, that's how you do that. So if you're having problems with an expert, we'll just toss all the testimony out, get it out of your deliberations because you can't rely on it. That doesn't mean you kick everything out. It just means that one expert you kick out of the deliberations.
There was some talk. I'm here in Texas, and I didn't realize that in Massachusetts you could have a rebuttal case. I was very surprised that there was not a rebuttal case, and I'm sure that Hank Brennan right now is wishing he had put one on, especially to call in the dog DNA lady. Like this is one of the dumbest things of this whole thing. Okay,
it is
dumbest.
It is.
A dog has, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but does a dog have upper and lower teeth? A jaw.
And DNA.
Was there any markings underneath his arm that would suggest that he'd been bitten by a dog?
The dog is a good example of ringing a bell. So the defense rings a bell and lets it reverberate, right? And we don't have to prove it. We just have to ring that bell. And what should have been done before the trial during the hearings, but it wasn't totally, was that should have never been allowed into the courtroom during this trial, that because it was not proven. It was not proven at all. It was disproved rather. So yeah, I mean, it's just changed everything. So you're in Texas. That's where season 5 of Paper Ghosts takes place.
Oh, good.
In Texas. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time out there the last
I want to talk about that because I'm going to start listening to all of your episodes for sure. But you guys, if you're feeling down today about this whole thing and the way it seems to be going, go listen to 34 Fairview Road and you'll be like, okay, I'm not crazy. And this is the strange thing to me. There are a couple of cultural moments right now in the country. We've got the Blake Lively thing. We're about 80% are like Team Justin. But then In this case, it's like 80% are free Karen Reed. And I mean, again, the smart people, you would think. It's like, do you understand that you would have to have like 50 different people, the Sally Port camera, a dog, pieces of plastic, all these things conspiring to frame this beautiful and alluring and definitely not an alcoholic Karen Reed. Like, it doesn't make any, it's so dumb. Like, dumb.
But it's frustrating. Now, I would argue with you that there's not as many free Karen Reed as people would think by what they see on TV and what they see on social media.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, because it's a small group. It really is a small group of the same people. And there's indications and there's some evidence that she actually hires extra people to go out there and protest.
I've heard that.
Yeah. So it's not as big of a movement as would be presumed by looking on social media, which I don't suggest people do at all. That's a cesspool. It's just a cesspool of poison. And so there's a lot of people in the Boston area in New England who haven't even heard of the case, who don't even know what free Karen Reed is, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not as big as a movement as they would like you to think it is.
Sorry, I have to change my camera here because my stupid software just glitches
Froze.
out all the time.
Yeah.
I want to pivot to Aiden Carney. I'm a conservative and he's a conservative, evidently, but I don't claim this freak. Like, I don't claim him. He's a terrible person. Two vile, vicious, malignant narcissists seem to have joined forces here and don't have any compunction in destroying innocent people's lives. Like, it's nothing to them. Tell me about for people who are, because my husband's like, I'm not following this thing. I'm like, it's fascinating because I don't think it's not necessarily the case. It's the spectacle of what's happened, because this is a cut and dry case. But who is Aiden Carney for people who don't know who this person is?
Well, Aiden Carney is a blogger, a self-published blogger who goes by the nickname Turtle Boy. And he came from Worcester, Massachusetts, where he was a school teacher, and he started a blog, Turtle Boy News, in Worcester, and he starts reporting on, like, it's kind of like a tabloid. He starts like outing welfare moms and all of this. He starts going after kind of people who can't defend themselves, basically, and kind of airing all the dirty laundry. And this case comes along, Karen Reed, and he told me, he says, I had no interest in it, really. I didn't see it as anything big. And then all of a sudden, I see the corruption, so I got to get involved. And then he hooks up with Karen, and they start this campaign together. And he says, I believe that she was framed, and I'll go to my grave believing that. And so she realizes, in my opinion, ooh, I've got a mouthpiece now. I can kind of utilize, shape and mold and turn into a campaign, which they did very effectively. And so he then starts these weekly YouTube shows and that he turns into blogs, self-published blogs, and he begins to gather this following. He claims it's huge, but it's really not that big. In Boston area, people know who he is. Some people, but lots of people don't. But in that group of people, sure, they all know him. And he just galvanized these people and started to use them as his surrogates, basically. I was viciously, when that podcast was released, the first episode, the attacks started and they just escalated from there. I literally got death threats posted online, death calls. I was on Court TV this morning. I got a call from a free Karen Reed person while I'm on Court TV.
They have your phone number?
Well, my phone number's to my business cell phone's on my website. So, which is fine. But, this person sounded drunk at 8 o'clock in the morning, and a lot of the calls sound the same, drunk people, who uneducated people who just hit on these bullet points that have been sent out to them. Right. And so Turtle Boy was very effective at getting Karen Reed's message out of the conspiracy. They created this conspiracy and they got that message out.
They created it. And what I'm hoping, regardless of the criminal outcome, I hope that there are defamation cases coming very soon, because it wasn't just that he was raising questions. It was, he called people murderers.
It was intimidating witnesses. You can't do that in a murder trial.
You can't do that. And when it's, and Karen was obviously, my opinion, your opinion, directing all of this.
Sure.
I imagine that, well, this is my hope, I guess. Perhaps the Commonwealth will say, listen, Aiden, you're facing, 5, 6, 7 years in jail here. Or you can give up Karen and you can talk about how she directed all this. That's what I hope happens. I mean, I'm literally blown away by this. And it's such a strange thing. I remember when I was talking to Kate Peter about it, I can explain, I think, the conservative free Karen Reed person. The conservative free Karen Reed person, like I say on my show all the time, I love a good conspiracy theory. I love a good rabbit hole. This is not one of them. Okay. This is a very simple case, but because we're all, we're so used to, corrupt government and corrupt this and corrupt that. That's why I think conservatives have jumped on this bandwagon. And then they also say, Michael Morrison's a, big time Democrat. I'm like, it's Massachusetts. Of course he's a Democrat. Like, that has nothing to do with it. The Alberts and the McCabe's, they're all conservatives. I would put money on it that they are.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because all of New England is blue, except when you get to Canton, it's all red. That whole area is red. So and as I started to interview free Karen Reed, it was one conservative after another. They're all conservative. You have that nailed. They are all conservative, and they galvanized together to spread this campaign of conspiracy. First it's Colin Albert, and then it's Brian Albert, then it's Brian Higgins, then it's the dog. So they were effective in that regard.
I mean, the Brian Higgins thing, and again, it's like, I don't understand what's going on here. We didn't get to hear from the Sullivan sisters in the second trial. The Sullivan sisters were in Aruba and saw Karen lose her damn mind, and accused John of screwing around. But the Brian Higgins text messages, where she's basically trying to give herself permission to have a little bit of an emotional cheating thing going on, when she knows damn good and well this didn't happen. Like, it screams awful character. Like, she's a bad person, you guys, like a bad human being.
She is a bad human being, and she's done a lot of terrible things. Look, they've destroyed lives. I mean, I've spoken to Colin Albert. I've spoken to a lot of the people involved here, and their lives are destroyed. I mean, kids' lives are destroyed from this. So you have a kind of a, you can see it happen. What happens is she sets this whole thing in play when she's arrested the second time for the murder charge, right? Mm-hmm. For the second-degree murder charge. I think it's in July or late June. When she's arrested, she sets it in play as she's handcuffed, and there's a body cam, and Yuri Buchanan is booking her, and she sets this all in play right there into that camera when she says, "You're all in on the same joke, right? You know Brian and Colin Albert did this, don't you?" She says that right in the police station. So she's had 3-4 months to come up with this now. So that's when it's set in play right there.
But people, and you make such a good point in the podcast, and people don't seem to understand. David Yannetti, to me, oh, I mean, I could be completely off base here. I'm sure he's a piece of garbage too, but he seems less egregious than the other two, Alicia and Jackson. I think at the beginning of this, he was like, "This is an accident. She didn't mean to do it." And you know, what was wild to me too is that they were complaining about Michael Proctor, talking about her medical issues, if you will. David Yannetti is the one that told everybody about her little medical issues.
He even said brain tumor. He even said she had a brain tumor.
Is that true?
In court. But there's never been no evidence of that. You know, and look, I'm not here to defend Michael Proctor. A lot of the stuff he said was very misogynistic. However, if you look at some of the stuff that's related to the case in context, it fits in with what cops say. And what I mean by that is, what this is a common DWI hit and run. She's gone. She's gone. She's going to plead out. We're going to drag her in. She's just going to cave. That's the kind of talk that's going on. So, because look, anytime there's one of these cases, it's a plea. It's always a plea, right? And that's what he believed that second day. Oh my God, you know, she's just going to come in and give it up. But that's not what happened. So now those texts are looked at in a different context, right? And yeah, it's really, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't care. I honestly, like, I'm a salty character. I don't care. Like, the thing is like, I am bummed out that he lost his job for accurately describing Karen Reed. Like, Karen Reed's a piece of shit. Okay. A piece of shit. And anybody who does the things she's done, knowing she knows damn good and well what she did. Okay. She was not blackout drunk. And
she told us what she did.
She knows exactly what she did. She wasn't blackout drunk because she made up a story about dropping him off at the waterfall. And then she realized, oh, wait a minute. People saw me there. So, I just dropped him off there. Well, if you were blackout drunk, you'd be like, I don't remember any of this.
Oh, he was hit by a plow.
Deniability, but she didn't. She changed her story.
Hank made a good point of that in his closing, that first she says, I dropped him off at the waterfall, realizes I can't use that. Yep. Then second, she says, oh, he was hit by a plow. So, because she's got to now put injuries on him, right? Yes. So that was very clear. He made that very clear. And I don't know how anybody can not see that. That is bizarre to me, that you can't see what she was doing during that whole night, how she was setting this up. I mean, it's blatantly obvious what happened. It's a simple case of a drunk person hitting somebody and driving away. That's what this is. That's why I had no interest in it. I had no interest in this early on. I'm like, until I was kind of coaxed into it. I was kind of pulled into it.
And when you started looking at it, you were like, okay, what is happening here? Like, this is insane. I know off the air you said you were probably not going to do a season 2 of 34 Fairview. I want to encourage you to do it, because I think the second season, if she is acquitted of this, we don't have to say that she's innocent, because this woman is not innocent. But it could be something that you could do to look in the psychology of all this, like how it grew and the sides that people have taken. That just it's so personal now. I mean, I'm a nobody, and I am attacked like crazy for supporting justice for John O'Keefe, who has been completely lost in this entire thing, by the way.
Yeah, he was never part of this, really. Never part of this, which is the sad thing. And I mean, first, when I said that Crossing the Line presents season 1, 34 Fairview, I didn't mean there'd be a season 2 of 34 Fairview. It means this is season 1 of Crossing the Line presents.
Ah, okay.
However, I have been talking to somebody who is very big part of this case, that I may want to tell this person's story, because it's such. It breaks my heart. This story breaks my heart. So I might want to tell this person's story. We've been speaking. So There might be more on this from me, not necessarily from me, but about someone involved. So there's still a lot of story left here, but it's like, no matter what you or I say about this, there's a whole culture of people who just will not budge.
Nope.
They're not going to budge from the conspiracy. So, and those aren't the people I'm trying to reach, but I just like to do the work, do the journalism, and that's it. And I was totally upfront with Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy. He likes to say that I lied to him, and all these people like to say that I lied to him and said I never told anybody I was free Karen Reed. In fact, I told him the quite opposite. I said, you're not selling me on this, man.
Yeah.
I said, if you want to prove a conspiracy, prove the conspiracy to me. I'm here for that. I'm here for that as well. Prove it to me. But I saw zero proof of a conspiracy. It's all speculation. It's all conjecture. And I don't roll that way. I don't, that's not how I do my work.
Well, I'm heartbroken for the McCabe's and the Alberts, especially Jen McCabe, who seems like such a kind human.
Just attacked, merciless.
I mean, it's awful what these people, what Karen Reed, what Aiden Carney and her attorneys have done. Tell everybody, this could go on forever. Tell everybody about the thing you're working on now, and yeah, you should definitely tell some people's stories. This would be great.
I have a lot of people who are coming to me who want me to tell their stories, especially some of the women involved in being victimized, which I'm interested in, but also another person who is inherently involved, who I might focus the entire thing on. So I may do that. We'll see how that goes in the future. Right now I'm working on season 5 of Paper Ghosts, which is called, the subtitle is The Texas Teen Murders back in the 80s. And I'm working on another big limited series podcast for a big company. And of course I do Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps every week, where I talk about, my experience and talk about a new case every week. So I'm working on a book, some fiction that I owe a publisher. So I'm really busy, and I need to stay busy.
I mean, maybe you could do a Dominic Dunn type of thing and give your season in purgatory, give the Karen Reed trial a season in purgatory.
Another city, not my own, right?
Yeah, I mean, this case is not going away, even if she is acquitted. My guess, she's going to have to move. That's my guess.
Well, she may move to Los Angeles. Who knows? That may be part. She wants to, she wants to be a celebrity. She wants to be that celebrity. I mean, you can see it when she walks out of court. I mean, the fawning over her. And I was watching today when she walked out, the smiling and the kind of godlike adoration of her by people wearing pink. It just blows my mind. This person is accused of murder, and you are adorating her as if she's, Mary.
Right.
And that blows my mind.
Well, speaking of God, God has a sense of humor, and I don't think God is laughing at this. And karma has a way of knocking on people's doors. And I have a feeling she's not going to enjoy this celebrity that long. She's an indictment. I said this at the very beginning. I said, we're all here because this woman doesn't want to admit she has a drinking problem.
Yeah, that
for real.
No one has brought up that point in that way. And that will come back at her.
Absolutely.
You can't continue that and not have anything happen. So that's a really great point, Angela, that you made. This is why we're here.
This is why we're here.
Alcohol. We're here
she
because
said, I have a problem. I mean, again,
do what all the politicians do. I'm going into rehab.
yeah.
I'm going into.
And I made a terrible mistake. She would have been out of, she may not have even had to serve time.
That's right.
If she had admitted to involuntary manslaughter, leaving the scene, like whatever, like
that's right.
She would have been out and
Yep.
She's a bad person, and Aiden Carney's a bad person, and her attorneys are bad people. And
Aiden is a vile person.
A vile person.
Vile person.
And you know who else? And we haven't even talked about this before we go. Karen Reed's parents. You've raised a monster. You've enabled a monster. Congratulations.
I can't even go there. I mean,
I can't.
I can't.
My mother would have been like, you better admit what you've done and take the consequences. That's what my mother would have done.
What I find hilarious in this is that Karen Reed chose a hairstylist, salon owner as a spokesperson. That's one of her biggest spokesperson right now.
Oh yeah, who's that?
Nick Rocco.
Yep. Oh, that guy. Yeah, I saw him on Court TV the other day. I'm like, who is this schmuck?
I don't understand how that person has any credibility to talk about evidence, crime, anything like that, but that's who she chose. So
well, I will say you and Kevin Lonahan, I think that's his name.
Linehan, yeah.
You seem to be the only sane people in this. And I'm sorry that you got, the FKR lunatics after you, but the truth is the truth. And like you said in your podcast, the truth has a way of bubbling up. So
yeah, I mean, Aiden put a picture of the front of my house with the number on it, and said, just saying, that's where he lives. Just saying.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 100%. And then the next day, I got this was right around the time when that healthcare guy was killed by Luigi.
Yeah.
And somebody posted a picture of the healthcare guy and then said, Phelps, you better watch your back. And the FBI got involved, and and then I started getting my manager got death threats. I mean, we're talking about a podcast I did. We're talking about journalism. You're going to kill me because of my work.
Because you have an opinion. Yeah. It's like, I know that a lot of conservatives are FKR, but I'm like, you should be embarrassed of yourself as conservatives, because this is like, these people are Antifa. This is Antifa behavior, what they're doing. So I would be careful as to who you align yourself.
Yeah, they can come here, but I'm well armed.
Good.
And I have, animals here that protect me and
like
security. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, so they're welcome to come here, if they feel the need, but, I just don't get it. I mean, this is, for Karen Reed, for someone who was obviously admittedly intoxicated and got herself into trouble for that. That's what you're going to kill somebody over. I mean,
yeah, it's like the lady who's like such a in denial alcoholic. She's like, they gave me these drinks and I couldn't taste anything, so I put more shots. And please, this heifer had a roadie with her on the way to the bar. Okay.
She has zero in common socially and culturally and financially with any of these people.
No.
Nothing in common at all with them. Zero.
Spit on them if they were on fire.
Absolutely right. And now they're all, she's hugging and kissing them. And it's all an act. It's all fake. It's all, John O'Keefe deserved better. His parents,
I mean,
his brother,
and not for nothing, Turtle Boy was almost the most vile to Mrs. O'Keefe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Paul O'Keefe.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul O'Keefe. He's I've talked to these people and I'm like, I have to commend you on your restraint.
I wouldn't.
Because if it was me, I don't know that I could restrain myself from doing something. They have been that I commend them on not speaking back and not doing anything. That takes a tremendous amount of self-restraint.
All right, well, Matt, thank you so much for spending so much time with me today. This has been
Absolutely.
great. I hope you come back anytime. You are welcome. Any case you're working on, tell everyone how they can follow you, and don't give your address for the FKR.
Just at symbol M. William Phelps and mwilliamphelps.com, and you can find everything from there. And, you know, Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps, a weekly
34
podcast.
Fairview Road. Absolutely worth it. Worth your time. Oh, is that Chloe the dog? Did you adopt Chloe?
That must be one of the FKRs are here at my door. I better go check.
Thank you, Matt. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you for sticking with us for this, and we're waiting on the verdict. All right.